Yo, what is going on everybody? You have Tone here, and I am bringing you guys the team builder for week 1 of season 6 of the Major Pokemon League. It is finally back after a long hiatus. We are back here, and as you can see, we have our week 1 matchup, and this week we are taking on the Rotterdam Staraptors and their head coach in Frieslander. He is one of the nicest and most chill people in the entire Draft League community, and to him, or to most people, the so-called Gordon Ramsay of graphic designing. He is definitely one of the best graphic designers in the Pokemon Draft League community. Be sure to check him out, and if you haven't done so already. So, as well as all the other coaches in the Major Pokemon League as well. So, yeah, nothing much else to say about that. So, let's just jump right into the matchup. As you can see, we have the team matchup here to the right with my team on the top. If you guys did miss my draft recap, the link will be in the description down below. Be sure to check that out, and you'll see why I drafted the Pokemon I drafted and for what reason, although most of you should already know the reason just by seeing how the first 5 Pokemon I drafted turned out, and the rest just was my own spin on it. But anyway, as you see, my opponent Frieslander has the ability to bring the Mega Lopunny, the Tornadus-Therian, the Ranunculus, Tangrowth, Florges, Scizor, Nidoqueen, Flygon, Sharpedo, Rotom Ghost, and the Magcargo, with his Zmons being the Torn-T and the Flygon. So right away, there are a couple of things to note about Frieza's team. First and foremost is the fact that, well, for starters, he only has 2 Stealth Rockers, being the Nidoqueen and the Magcargo, and if anything is going to come in that scenario for Stealth Rock support, it is definitely going to be the Nidoqueen to keep my Raikou in check. At the very least, my team also struggles a bit with the Torn-T, considering that my flying resist is Raikou and, to a lesser extent, the Lycanroc Dusk, which is more of an offensive check. It's not a direct switching. I would have to be like an Assault Vest Raikou to try to pivot in on Torn-T, which can easily just U-turn out. So the mindset I went into this game with, or this build with, was to ensure one of two main things. The first one, making sure that Mega Lopunny was not going to have its way with my team, even though I do have a good amount of responses to the Mega Lopunny, being stuff like my Mega Venusaur, Arcanine, Swampert, stuff like that. They can definitely sponge an attack or two from Mega Lopunny. But the main nuisance to my team, like I said, is the Torn-T, is because of the fact that Flying Resist, well, I have Flying Resist, it didn't really fit the what I wanted out of this team as a whole. And I built this team with a specific set of 6 in mind. Like, for the most part, I'm not really expecting Frieslander to bring the last 4 Mons on his roster, mainly because I don't feel like they have the best matchup against my current team. It's just my own personal preference here. Rotom could definitely come, but Rotom being hard checked by Hydreigon is kind of an issue. Sharpedo has to have a certain amount of his strap for moves, considering it has to run Protect to guarantee it gets that speed boost, and Flygon can struggle to break through Celesteela without having Fire Blast, and even then Fire Blast isn't doing that much damage to Celesteela, and I do have a Mega Venusaur which can check it defensively. So there's those sort of things to keep in mind. So for the most part, I'm pretty much expecting the Mega Lopunny, the Torn-T, the Ranunculus, the Tangrowth, the Nidoqueen for sure, and the last one being either the Florges or the Scizor to come. Scizor to a lesser extent, well, mainly because of the fact that I have a Celesteela. Florges more so because of the fact that he just could have another switch in for my Hydreigon, which I'll get into in a minute. So that's pretty much my opinion of what he might bring. As for the sets, I don't really know, but it's just my own way of dealing with certain threats to his team. So with that all being said, I'm just going to jump right into the team builder here, as I've rambled on long enough for the matchup. So first Pokemon you see on the screen here, you see the Mega Venusaur with Synthesis Sleep Powder, Sludge Bomb, and Hidden Power Fire. I also want to give a quick shout out to my good friend Azar for helping me look over the team prior to me battling here. Mainly, it was mainly just 2 sets I had to I suggested, and then it felt a lot better after doing some more tweaking with the sets and whatnot. But basically, I had pretty much most of the set down already. I initially had Growth over Sleep Powder, but looking at it now, Sleep Powder makes a lot more sense in this matchup, considering his Sleep Powder switching is going to be that Tangrowth, and Tangrowth in and of itself does not want to take a Sludge Bomb in any way, shape, or form. So that was pretty much the mindset of having Sleep Powder, and then of course Synthesis to keep itself healthy. Sludge Bomb plus HP Flyer was really the only coverage I needed for my Mega Venusaur, just because of the fact that Sludge Bomb is pretty spammable against his team, and combined with Hidden Power Fire, which is there for the Scizor, so it can't just freely Swords Dance in Venusaur's face or whatnot. Outside of that, everything else is pretty much straightforward. This is my way of checking stuff like the Mega Lopunny, it's my switch into Tangrowth, it's my response, one of my responses to Florges, and Nidoqueen to a lesser extent. Of course, I'm without Earthquake and not doing much damage, but that's not the general idea with this set. So as you see, the investment here, with max HP and 132 defense lets my Mega Venusaur live. Let's take 2 Adamant returns from Mega Lopunny after Stealth Rock, so this gives me one surefire way of dealing with that Mega Lopunny if it becomes a bit of a problem towards in the long run. So, and the rest just put in special defense so I can better check the likes of Florges, Nidoqueen. If he decides to bring a special Sharpedo, which I don't feel like is the best set, because he would want to have some Psychic Fangs to hit my Venusaur harder than Ice Fang, because it gets weakened with the thick fat. So that's a general idea behind the Mega Venusaur. Nothing really too fancy to say. Much else to say about the Mega Venusaur set. It's just standard defensive, just trying to take its hits as best as it can, and then just retaliate and heal up wherever it can on stuff like Florges, the Nidoqueen, things like that. So that is my Mega Venusaur set. Now moving on to the next Pokemon here is our Celesteela with Leech Seed, Toxic, Heavy Slam, and Air Slash with a mixed defensive spread like my Mega Venusaur, but a little bit more specially defensive. As I mentioned before, I do struggle a bit with Torn T with this build, as you see, I'm not bringing my Raikou or my Lycanroc Dusk in this battle, as I already talked about why I didn't feel like they were the best particular matchup for this battle. So it's pretty much going to rely on Celesteela. It's not going to be a hard stop to Torn, of course, but this is just my way of just making sure that it doesn't just blow through my entire team, as I am running enough HP, max HP and enough special defense to take 2 Heat Waves from a non-Life Orb or non-Expert Belt Torn T after Stealth Rock. If anything, I'm expecting Torn T to be more flying easy, because I know there's going to be a situation where he would want to make sure that Hurricane doesn't miss on one of my Pokemon, because like I said, Hurricane is pretty spammable against this build, and for the most part Celesteela's job is to just come in and make sure the Florges doesn't get too out of hand, and check stuff like Nidoqueen. I have Air Slash over Flamethrower because I really feel as though Scizor doesn't have the best matchup, and even more so, Scizor would just U-turn out of incoming Celesteela anyway. So I feel as though Air Slash is just a little bit better. I hit the Tangrowth and the Mega Lopunny harder, and I get stab coverage on both, and Flying Spam is pretty nice in this matchup. The only thing I just can't do much damage to is stuff like the Rotom and the Macargo. Which I said again, I'm not really expecting either of those to come in this matchup, but I do have the Toxic just in case something like one of those 2 Pokemon might come in on Celesteela. I can wear those things down pretty easily. I can Toxic something like Florges, I can Toxic the Torn mainly, as that way it doesn't get that much health back from Regenerator, it's constantly on a timer, forced to constantly be pivoting out, getting that regenerator health. And if I'm able to get up my rocks with my Swampert, which I'll get into in a minute, then it'll be a lot harder for Torn to try to come in freely and just try to wreck my entire team. So that's a general basis behind Celesteela, and also I have Leech Seed for extra recovery. And as I mentioned, since his Leech Seed switch-in or immunity is going to be that Tangrowth, which doesn't want to take an Air Slash, it's pretty spammable in my case. And of course, like Magic Guard, Ranunculus, but I have responses to Ranunculus as well. So that is my Celesteela. Next up is the Arcanine with the Rocky Helmet and Intimidate with Morning Sun, Extreme Speed, Flare Blitz, and Roar. The general idea with this set is it's another switch into Mega Lopunny. Just like I said, I wanted to make sure that Mega Lopunny was going to be the least of my problems here. Running Rocky Helmet and Intimidate just to make sure its attacks are hitting as minuscule as possible. We're packing Roar here just on the off chance Mega Lopunny decides to do like some substitute Cosmic Power Baton Pass shenanigans and try the Baton Pass boost to one of his sweepers. I can just Roar, face him out, get rid of the substitute or all the boost to go with it. Flare Blitz is pretty spammable against his team considering his fire resist. It's pretty much just the Cargo, which again I'm not expecting it to come. Outside of that, it's like I said, outside of Cargo, Flare Blitz is very, very spammable. Extreme Speed to pick off like a weakened Mega Lopunny or a weakened Torn T if need be, and then Morning Sun to make sure its health is kept as high as possible. And for the same reason as my Mega Venusaur, it's even in the sense, so after the Intimidate activates, an Adamant return from... 2 Adamant returns from Mega Lopunny will not take out my Arcanine after Stealth Rock. I can also take 2 Adamant High Jump Kicks from the Mega Lopunny from full if rocks aren't up, obviously. And yeah, there's not much else to say about that. I just put the rest in like the special defense, a little bit of speed, which is mainly just there for like Adamant Max Speed Scizor, which I don't really expect Max Speed Scizor to come. And that's pretty much it. The rest is just balance thrown into special defense to have another like switch into Florigis or whatnot if the case comes around. So, but like I said, the general concept with Arcanine is just come in and be the main response to Mega Lopunny. It could be a little bit more difficult considering if rocks are on the field, but at the same time, as long as Arcanine can whittle down the Mega Lopunny with a combination of in lowering its attack with Intimidate and getting some chip damage off on it with Rocky Helmet, then I'd say Arcanine has done its job tremendously well, and that's what the main idea with my Arcanine set is. So, moving on now to our next Pokemon here, we have the Swampert, another Rocky Helmet user. This is just my other way of ensuring that Mega Lopunny does not have its way with my team. Mega Lopunny, like I was saying, it didn't really hinder my team in a way, not as much as Torn T does. But I also wanted to make sure that since I'm not bringing anything something like to overwhelm Mega Lopunny, I wanted to make sure that I have the proper responses to the Mega Lopunny. It may seem like a little bit of overkill running double Rocky Helmet, but this is just my way of just making sure that Mega Lopunny is the least of my worries here. So as you see, we're running Stealth Rock, Earthquake, Ice Punch, and Hidden Power Fire, with Hidden Power Fire again mainly for the Scizor, just on the off chance he figures that he sees Earthquake and Ice Punch, he might figure my fourth move may not be maybe Waterfall or maybe basically not Scald, and he might try to Sword Stance in my face. I have Hidden Power Fire to ensure that Scizor is not a free setup. It doesn't become setup fodder for the Scizor and whatnot. Like a bulky SD set could be a little bit more problematic if he manages to weaken my Celesteela, but at the same time, I'm not trying to let that happen in the first place. So same reason as before with the Swampert. It has the same role as my Arcanine and my Mega Venusaur. It can take 2 Adamant High Jump Kicks from an Adamant Mega Lopunny after Stealth Rock, and the rest just put in a special defense to better check stuff like the Nidoqueen, check stuff like non-Energy Ball, Florigis, and all that stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much the general idea with Swampert. If I'm able to get up rocks with my Swampert, it makes things a lot easier for my last 2 months. Plus it makes it easy, it makes it harder for Torn T to just pivot in and out at will, just activate its regenerator and keep its health as high as possible with my defense here. So now we get back to the so now we're going to go a little more offensive with my team, and the first Pokemon to accommodate that is my Gardevoir with choice specs, Moonblast, Psyshock, Hidden Power Fire, and Trick. This is my main wall breaker. He has a lot of bulky Pokemon that can easily be worn down with a choice specs boosted Psyshock or Moonblast, whatever the case calls for. Hidden Power Fire to catch the Scizor on the switch, and Trick is just there to make sure that something like a Calm Mind Ranunculus is not trying to set up in the late game and basically just screw me over. I also just trying to mention that I forgot to mention that this Ranunculus was also a little bit of a pain to deal with in terms of building, but since Ranunculus is not one of his Z mons, I don't have to feel like a Z Thunder hindering my Celesteela anytime soon. So, but at the same time, Calm Mind Ranunculus is a bit scary for my team to handle, which is why I have the Trick there to ensure that he does not just try to set up for free on my team, which is a little bit more on the bulky offensive route, which I definitely love using. But anyway, as for the EV spread here, I feel like I kind of messed up a little bit with the investment, because to be perfectly honest, I didn't really feel like I needed speed. Like if I was gonna run speed on Gardevoir, the most I would probably run it for would be like a max speed Magcargo. Like that's the only really thing I care that I would actually like try to consider. Like it's minuscule, it's like a minuscule spread, but I think Gardevoir still outspeeds max speed timid Magcargo anyway with no investment. But nonetheless, this set was designed to just be the main wall breaker of the team, with 212H in my HP investment. This allows my Gardevoir to take a Z Hurricane from Tornadus Theory and after Stealth Rock. So more often than not, this is going to be my dedicated lead in this matchup, just because I'm expecting the Torn T to come, and I'm expecting the Torn T to be his lead 100%, because normally whenever I face a Torn T, or whenever I've used Torn T myself, normally I've led off with Torn T. I feel like this matchup would be no different for Frieslanders. In Frieslander's case, he can just assess the situation and go from there. So nonetheless, if he decides to go for the Z Hurricane on my Gardevoir, I'm going to live the hit, barring he gets a crit or anything. At the same time, Choice Specs Psyshock will be doing a tremendous amount of damage to that Torn T. It won't knock it out, as you can see. I'm not even running max special attack investment on my Gardevoir, but I am running Modest Nature so I can get the most out of Psyshock and pretty much the rest of his attacks as well. So yeah, that's pretty much all I want to say about Gardevoir. Just my main way of wall breaking, breaking down his bulkier Pokemon, the Florges, the Tangrowth. I can surprise the Nidoqueen if I need to, but other than that, just a straightforward wall breaker in my opinion with some added bulk. So that's my Gardevoir, and then lastly we have the Hydreigon, which is a Choice Scarf physical Hydreigon here with Outrage, Superpower, U-Turn, and Crunch. As you see, we're running Adamant Nature with enough speed to ensure that we outspeed Megalopony. After, with my Choice Scarf, I also outspeed a Adamant or Modest max speed Sharpedo. Even at +1, he would basically have to try to go for a Double Protect and get it to ensure that he would outspeed my Hydreigon the following turn, and then go for like an Ice Beam or an Ice Fang or any of this, whatever the case may call for. But basically, this Hydreigon set is designed to not only surprise stuff like the Torn, which would normally be a common switch into Hydreigon, considering that Hydreigon is normally a special attacker because it has higher special attack. But if he brings like an Assault Vest Torn T, I can surprise him, hit him up with an Outrage, and go off a good chunk of damage to that Torn T, if not outright kill it. Take it out if it is in range after the rounds of Stealth Rock damage I could potentially get off on the Torn T. This also is my main way of baiting in the Florges, as if Florges does come in, which normally would be the case in terms of Hydreigon, I can just U-turn on out of there and go directly into either my Venusaur or my Celesteela and get off some huge damage that way. I can also go out into Gardevoir and click Side Shock or Moonblast and just get off a big chunk of damage that way as well. So that pretty much is it. There's nothing much else to say about the set. It's just Adamant Physical Starve is just a very nice way of luring stuff that normally would hinder Hydreigon, mainly the Torn T, mainly the Florges. The set still can't really touch Florges anyway. There's nothing it hits it super effectively, but this is also a good way of luring it in anyway with U-turn regardless. And this is also my means of checking the Ranunculus, as an Adamant Crunch is going to do roughly a little bit over half minimum to a max HP, max defense, bold nature Ranunculus, which is pretty doggone cool if I don't say so myself. And it also helps me against like Ranunculus that already has a few Calm Mind boosts, as I would have to bank on Dark Pulse flinches if I was a special Scarf variant of Hydreigon. But yeah, with all that being said, that is a team builder for week number 1 of the MPL. I hope you guys did enjoy my thought process and all that stuff. But nonetheless, this will be going up on Thursday. At the time that I'm recording this, it is currently Tuesday, I want to say. Yeah, Tuesday. So this will be going up on Thursday. The battle itself will be going up the following day on Friday. Same thing for the next few weeks to come. So anyway, I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, leave a like. Feel free to check out my opponent as well as all the other coaches in the MPL. And until next time, guys, this is Tone, signing off for now.